pretty important. Yeah, I feel like one, yeah.
I haven't been as involved with this as what you folks have. I'm just beginning to experience it, so I don't have the frustrations that you have.
Okay.
So, I will go along with whatever is determined by the majority.
Thank you. Ms. Hopkins?
I think a minority, 2 or 3 years, guys.
Okay, well, we can hammer that out when it comes to fruition. How's that? Everybody okay? We'll have Mr. Womack bring something to us and we can review it. By then, Mrs. Dixon will be on board and she can review it also.
I would just like to close though that I do think the community event should come to us, especially if we're talking about things like closing streets. And I feel like we need to give our community notice. I feel like we need to advertise it.
Well, our staff in particular.
Our staff needs to have that whole like knee-jerk try to put it all together. I think it's just a lot to ask.
It's cumbersome to our staff.
I think it's one thing to have a discussion twice before we make an approval of an event. It's another thing to have the discussion and have the approval 2 months ahead so everybody knows about it. That's 2 different things.
And I talked to Mr. Womack about the community event that we will not accept them unless they're completely filled out.
Mm-hmm.
So I would agree with what I tried to point out the last meeting.
Yeah.
There was items on there that weren't checked, and people who were involved with those items hadn't been notified.
And that's where we need to say, well, the whole form must be filled out and approved by all department heads before it comes to us for approval.
And not try to open a can of worms, but I think we do need to maybe even look at a community event policy about how do maybe we have a twice-a-year meeting with groups that regularly hold community events and say, let's hold a calendar, let's try to set it up so we know when it's going to be.
Yes.
It doesn't mean someone can't add on, but for these that we, like we do with Chris Kringle and stuff.
We do that now with the chamber. They submit all theirs.
But I'm saying we even schedule a meeting and say, everybody come in the first week of January and we're going to set a calendar for the next 6 months.
Okay, thanks.
Again, I'm not trying to open a can of worms, but
that's a good
when we
thought.
went to Rockford, they do something sort of like that.
Yeah, they have a list, and then they advertise it and post it. It's pretty, good idea.
Okay, good thoughts. Okay, any other discussions on any of the discussion items we covered before we move to action items? Okay, moving on to action items.
For anyone keeping track, this is on page 255 of the PDF.
Yeah, for TV Right. Basically, we have a motion to approve a contract with IT Right Service. Mr. Womack, you care to speak to this?
Mr. Mayor, we do have a representative of IT Right in the audience, if you'd like to hear from him.
Yeah, I'm sure. Any of the council have questions? I have one right off the bat.
Paul Trinka, 910 Comstock Street, Adrian, Michigan. Here tonight representing IT Right, which is on East Clark Road in Bath, Michigan. A little bit of history about the company. The company started in 1997 with one individual. His name is Dan Eggleston. Dan still owns the company today. Started out just by doing some service work. He was actually in the business of teaching technology classes, Microsoft certification classes. Did some support work and things like that. And from there, the company has evolved from 1 employee to 26 employees today. We have 22 people that are either help desk people or technicians in the field. Our area of expertise is government. We service village, city, township, and county governments. We've got a couple schools thrown in the mix, but if you own a hardware store or a dentist office or an insurance company, that's out of our area of expertise, and we leave those customers, those clients alone. We have a very good relationship with BSNA software, and I believe your city uses BSNA software for a large part of your financials. Our phone systems are even linked together. We're not the same company, but we work hand in hand. What I'm here tonight to talk about briefly is service and support. IT Right will come in, and we will be your IT person for the city. The service contract bundle that we quoted, along with the other items tonight, you have unlimited support for a period of 1 year. That support comes in a couple different ways. You can call us up, you can email us, or you can fax us anytime and as often as you'd like. It's unlimited. We'll start that process on the telephone. If it's something like an outage with a computer or a server, we put a person in the truck, he gets in the truck and heads to the car. I don't think any of our technicians have trucks actually, but he heads this way and we'll start the repair work that way. Again, unlimited, as many times as you want, as many times as you need. Another service that comes along with it is me. I'm not a guy that pounds on the keyboards anymore. I got too old for that, so they found another role of responsibility for me, but I heard SAW grants mentioned tonight. The SAW grant will come with a huge volume of video. And what do you do with it after you get it, right? You have to have someplace that you can look at it. We've worked with a number of communities that have been recipients of SAW grants and helped them in the right direction. Sometimes the engineering firms that do those types of projects aren't real well versed in IT. They're great at doing the video, but how you look at it, how you see it, they kind of leave you to your own demise, and that's what we come in and help you do. Remote backup. You have a server here at the city, and that data is very important. It's your heartbeat, it's your lifeblood, it's all your financial records and documents from the city and everything else. We'll back that up on a nightly basis to our office in Bath, Michigan. And then along with that, we have a little software program we're going to put on each one of the computers. It does antivirus, it does intrusion monitoring, it does health, it helps you and I keep track of your inventory. It will manage even up to and including some hardware failures, and it does predictive hardware failure monitoring so that if you have memory or hard drive or motherboard that's starting to go bad, chances are we're going to know about it before it happens. Are my 4 minutes up?
You're on the agenda, you get one.
Okay, I don't want to take all your time though, and I understand that you were busy folks too, but I am happy to answer any questions you might have.
Mr. Clark, do you have a question?
Okay, so looking at the contract, we see $5,000 there. Is that basically just for the whole year services? Is that what we're talking about?
Yes, that's the whole year services.
And then what kind, I also saw down the line, and I think this is standard for the industry, there are certain things that you would do in the future, replacing hardware, maybe new software or new programs or projects that you would charge extra for.
New hardware is not included in the contract. New software is not included in the contract. If you wanted or asked for any help, and we may even contact you throughout the year to see if you need any help with any project or things like that, like SAW grants, we're more than happy to do that. But the work itself, we'll spec machines for you. We'll tell you which ones work best in our environment and yours. The way we do what we do is we just signed a contract with the city of Rockford, 2 different size networks. But by the time we get done, I could blindfold the technician, and he could come here not knowing where he was, or go to Rockford, and everything's going to be the same. And so that's what helps make it easier. But anyway, we'll help you select that equipment, things like that, but the actual purchase of it is not included. If, for instance, all of a sudden you did build the motel, and the population of Cedar Springs just took off and became 20,000, and you added on to City Hall, and you needed 10 more offices and 10 more computers, adding those types of things are not included in the contract. If all these computers in your commission chambers, council chambers got changed, we would do that. That's included. If you would build a new City Hall, we'll pick it up and move it for you. That's part of your contract. But the actual purchase of it, new wires, new computers, and things like that are not included.
That's logical.
Makes sense?
Mr. Clark, we do have 2 different budgets. We have one for service and one for hardware. This would come out of entirely the service budget. So we have a separate, budget for hardware.
Does each, and this is not for our gentleman here, but does that money that's in the maintenance, does each department have some money that's available for maintenance in the IT department?
That's a good question. I don't know, because we do have one budget for computers. And as we discussed previously, we had, I think, about $8,000 in the service part of that budget.
The wastewater plant does have a line item for computers there.
Are they the only ones?
Well,
Honestly,
even I could
doesn't
pull
the
up that
front
one.
office?
I
I think there are.
Well,
I'm not
maybe-
sure.
For your question, though, it's coming out of one budget. If there are other budgets, those are not being touched.
Got it. Any other questions?
I have one. Do you make my email work?
Yeah.
We will help you do that.
Okay. It's
Yes.
never worked.
We have an 800 number, just to tell you how the staff can get a hold of IT Right. We have an 800 number. We have an email address, which is support@itright.com, and we still use fax machine too, and that initiates the process. We have a tracking system, a ticketing system, so once the phone call, the fax, or the email hit us, there's a ticket created under Cedar Springs, and we can track it from beginning to end to make sure nothing falls through the
It's
cracks.
been 4 years,
Yeah.
We can help you.
and I have other emails.
Chief Fraser, yeah.
I may be out of place, but we have not been able to talk with City Hall for as long back as I can remember. Would this be something that this outfit company could remedy? We're the fire station down on Maple Street, we're kind of like an island.
2 locations.
Can you
in
make
the
it so we can
community.
talk to each other?
Did we include the fire department?
That wasn't included in our original quote, but
It's something that we can definitely talk about though, and I talked with the sheriff, sergeant from the sheriff's department when we were here. Their computers actually are part of the county sheriff's departments. We're gonna make sure that those can talk to the network that they need to talk to do their reporting, things like that, get their lean information and access their incident reporting system, so.
Yeah, and that'll help the fire department so they can communicate.
And
That would be a no.
if it's not being included in this budget, is that something we could amend to add on? Could you come
I'm not
back?
sure if we'd want to amend the
Not here,
contract, but I would imagine you guys have the ability to do hourly work, to do
We
something
do
like
time
that.
and material work as well. We have over 500 customers throughout the state of Michigan, clients, and we work with them on all different levels. The support contract is very attractive because in the end, it costs you much less per hour than doing time and material, but by all means, we can help you out with the time and material nature.
What were your closest location for your technician, let's say?
Well, I told you I came from Adrian, Michigan tonight, and
Yeah.
like most technology companies, we're dispersed across the state.
Correct.
Although I've only worked for IT Right since June, there's been 3 new employees added since then.
Okay.
And what we've started to do is locate them geographically. We have one technician in Traverse City, which wouldn't be the one that came. We have one that we just hired in Ferguson, Michigan. I-69, or I-96. I-96 is quick for us, and we can probably be here within, an hour, 20 minutes.
Yes, okay.
So, I know that we've experienced some growth in Kent County, and I wouldn't be surprised if it's not too far off before we have a representative on the west side of the state. So,
Sounds good.
And Mr. Trinka, you currently service the village of Sparta, right?
Yeah.
Sparta, Rockford, I'm going to the Kent Sewer Authority, either next week or the following week. We do Cascade, Caledonia.
So you already service a number of municipalities here?
Yes, and then we've got Layton Township, the north side of Allegan County, so we are growing here. City of Hudsonville, not too far away.
Okay. Mr. Mayor, another question. What percentage would you guesstimate of problems that are called into you or sent into you are handled without an actual physical visit?
I couldn't put a percentage up on it, but I would definitely say the majority. Our technicians do make calls to repair problems. I won't say that they don't. Many of them, though, can be supported via the phone.
Yeah.
We use a little remote application, and the way we'll do it is our technician will have you open that up on your desktop as long as you can get internet access, and that's one of the triggers. If you can't, somebody's going to come in the car.
Yeah.
But you can do one of 2 things at that point. You can either stay on the line and talk to him and watch what he's doing, or you can go about your business, hang up the phone, and when he's done, I'll call you back.
Nice.
To put a number on it, though,
That's all right, you don't have to.
Yeah.
I just figured that there's a lot that was done without ever having to visit.
The problem comes when your internet connection here blows up, and then we get in the car and go.
You gotta get there. Any other questions? I would entertain a motion at this time.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion to approve IT right service contract and direct the city manager to execute any and all documents to take any actions required to approve said contract on behalf of the city.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Already? Roll call vote. Mrs. Powell.
Yes.
Mr. Groves.
Yes.
Mr. Hopkins.
Yes.
Mrs. Conlon.
Yes.
Mr. Clark. Yes. Mr. Hall votes yes. Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Moving on to item B. Motion to approve election coordinator contract. Mr. Womack, speak to this.
Yes, Mr. Mayor. As stated before, Ms. Witt, who was our interim city clerk, who was helping us out when we had that issue, and who got us through the primary election very well, I asked her to come on as our election coordinator due to Ms. Newland, our new city clerk's lack of history with the election process. So, the reason Ms. Newland is not here today is because she's up in Lansing taking that training. So in the future, she'll be able to handle all the elections herself. But at this time, I thought it was appropriate to have a hired gun in the office. Ms. Witt is very good at her job, and I think she's doing it at a steal price for us. And she's not only is she doing clerk work, she's doing the elections work, and she's helping teach Ms. Newland. So I think it's a bargain. She's been doing it ever since her previous contract ended, and it will end again after was it November 8th election? So I would ask you to approve that contract.
Thank you. For discussion, I would entertain a motion.
Mr. Mayor, I'll make that motion.
Second. It's been moved and seconded. Now discussion.
I also agree that it's an excellent idea to have Ms. Witt on there, because this is a very important election. Could get very complicated, and we want to make sure we got all of our I's dotted and our T's crossed.
Exactly. Oh, good.
I also, Mr. Mayor, would just like to say we may even have additional people through the efforts of Ms. Newland and Manager Lomax, who did a very fabulous voter registration drive on Red Flannel. So there may be even additional people showing up to vote. So all the more reason you need all hands on deck.
Thank you.
I would like to propose that it goes slightly on beyond the election itself. The election is never over until everything has been finally filed and taken care of. To say it ends with the day of the vote might be a little bit premature. I was trying to remember what I read in your agreement.
About say,
But was it like, if it was a week after or something like that, everything, all the books are closed and everything is complete?
no, sorry, Mr. Gross. As you may know, being the slippery attorney that I am, I believe that her employment contract terminates immediately following November 8th, 2000 election, or as near after as is necessary to complete her election tasks.
I knew there was something else in there, I just couldn't remember what.
Yeah, I see it in there. I knew we had her on hold as long as Mr. Womack's needed her, so.
I should not guess
Fine
what
with
the
me.
attorney will throw in on anything.
Ms. Witt and Ms. Newland have been working together very well. I'm very happy with what she's been doing.
Okay, any other further discussion? Hearing none, a roll call vote. Mr. Clark? Yes. Mr. Hopkins?
Yes.
Mrs. Powell?
Yes.
Mr. Groves?
Yes,
Mrs. Conlon?
Yes.
Mr. Hall votes yes. Motion carries. Item C, motion to approve resolution 20-28. Mr. Womack, speak to that.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. As we discussed previously at the workshop session, this is a resolution in support of the surcharge that the Kent County Sheriff is asking for. It's a small surcharge on top of the small surge that we already have and have been paying for. It brings us in line with other counties and other county surcharge. It's going to put the Kent County about the middle of the path to the surcharge that is used to pay for these types of things. But I think it's important because it's going to allow the sheriff to upgrade their radio system to the radio of the future, which will permit, and the sheriff was much more eloquent when he said it, but allow everybody to talk to each other, basically. Apparently there's a problem now with different agencies using different frequencies and different radios, and we don't want a situation where 3 different groups are on the scene and they can't talk to each other. So I think that's important, and there's additional side benefits for the fire departments in the area. And this resolution is simply in support of that surcharge fee.
Thank you. I would entertain a motion for discussion purposes alone.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion to approve Resolution 2015-28, a resolution in support of the Kent County 9/11 surcharge fee.
Is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Hopkins, moved and seconded. Any discussion? I think, too, it's an excellent opportunity for the
Does that eliminate any current charges they have for dispatch charges?
I don't think so. I think it increases it slightly, but this is something that's going to be put in front of the voters in November anyways. This is just the opportunity for the council to weigh in on it.
We aren't actually making anything
No,
happen.
I can remember, I didn't know.
We're going to support them.
Because there's current charges for dispatching right now, that I don't know if there's some eliminate some.
No, I don't, you'd have to
Don't
read the ballot
change.
language, but I don't think so.
I think it increases it about 70 cents.
That's what I was thinking, I thought it was about 70 or 75 cents.
No, that's 70 cents, that would be $1.15 then per line, per phone line, per month, is that how that goes?
Yes.
For the most part, yes. There is a certain thing where if you have over 10 lines in your house, then each additional 10 counts as one. Yeah, it's complicated.
Businesses do though?
Yes.
Councilman?
They fall under the 10.
I'm looking at this, I'm seeing the 800 megahertz is like the gold or platinum standard that everybody wants. Because it allows us to have, what do they call it, interconnectability or whatever the terminology was there. So somebody explain that to me, because that is like, it's like saying, we are in such a mess right now, we are not able to talk to each other. We're not able to get along without this.
I see our
Where's
firefighter,
the
he's nodding.
Where is the issue?
Can either one of you, Sergeant Kelly or
Oh, yeah,
Sergeant
Sergeant.
Yeah, real simple is these radios here are not digital. These are low band, high band radios. So if in here I can turn this radio on, and they could be calling and screaming, and I couldn't hear them in this building. Because why, there's speakers all over the building that have an antenna, because this is not digital. So this is like a AM, FM, it skips us or it doesn't skip us, and so you get service or you don't. And up in this area, the don't is more often than do. So someone's talking or
I can understand it.
right.
Yeah.
So, and on top of that, because of those frequencies, you can only communicate with people that are dialed into your same frequencies. So if you're not, we call F1, so our north frequency, if you're not scanning our south frequency, even our deputies don't hear in our heads.
So what's 800 megahertz? How does that compare to what we have
It's
now?
digital.
It's almost like a cell phone over
Yes.
a radio. So you could talk to someone in the UP if you dialed in their frequencies.
So we don't have a megahertz number right now for our system?
No, we're not digital. We're all analog. It's
So
all
if you-
hours right now. So it's
Okay.
all.
So
if you look at, even an old cell phone type technology, the oldest cell phone technology is still much more advanced than this.
It's like when they told you now you're going to digital TV.
Oh, and you had to get,
Yes, this is the
Special
radio
box to make it
frequency. It goes farther, and it's a better spread.
And it's been this thing. It's been a big push since Columbine, quite frankly. The Unified Incident Command, the fire department and the police, we all train on it. Well, until we can all be on the same radio system, we really cannot have unified incidents.
So right now, you can't talk to the fire department can't talk to you?
We can talk to each other with quite a few steps involved. We can talk to each other.
It's complicated.
Chief Fraser?
I might just add to that, Aeromed has their own frequency. Rockford Ambulance is now on the 800 megahertz. We cannot communicate directly with them. We have to go through a dispatch, which is time consuming. If we have a life death matter out on a highway, we have to contact our dispatch, to contact Rockford Ambulance, that turns around and contacts Aeromed. So you're looking minutes, critical minutes here. With an 800 megahertz system statewide, we can, like Jason said, we can talk to Traverse City, we can talk to Kalamazoo. If we have Aeromed tied up on something in northern Michigan, we can get a hold of Kalamazoo and get their helicopter up here. Just that simple. We don't have to go through 4 or 5 different dispatchers, different radios, different channels. This would consolidate everybody, so it'd be like 7 council members reading the same book, but everybody on a different page. It would put us all, same book, same page.
Communication between everyone,
So it'd be more like talking on a phone though, so if you two are talking to each other and Rockford needed to talk to one of you, they couldn't break in on your conversation.
Which is, it's the same as now. If
That problem would
heat up-
exist still.
Well, yeah, now the dispatch can break over, and still can.
Okay, so but they would have to go through dispatch to get to you then?
Yeah, which we want. We don't want people walking on each other. So basically what happens is we don't want you to have the ability to walk over somebody else because we
So is that really solving an issue? You're still having to go through dispatch?
Only if
No,
there's
you
2
don't.
people talking.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know why you would. I don't know what traffic you would ever do at some point where you'd have to walk on somebody else. You shouldn't do it. So,
But I thought you were just saying though that you want, if somebody's trying to reach you, you want them to go through dispatch.
Let me go just a titch farther on that. The radios that are set up, we have multiple channels on that frequency. We'll just say we're going to grab a number, 200.00 frequency. We have channel 1, Fireground 2, VTAC, and them. We can talk to each other on one of them other channels and still leave the dispatch channel open.
Okay.
It's called, in our particular case, it's called Fireground. If we have multiple departments on the scene, we can talk to each other without interrupting dispatch. And that would be something that's similar, that we would have different channels for that frequency.
Kind of like going back 30 years or more, to the party line, now to the fire line. On a telephone.
Yeah, that's a good
Well,
analogy.
Okay, any other discussion here?
Mr. Mayor, if I could just add a bit of levity to what Mr. Sergeant Kelly was saying. There is a giant speaker next to the toilet in the back, and every time that radio chatter starts going, it shocks me. So that's one added benefit to this.
Moving on. Any other discussion pertinent to the motion? Hearing none, roll call vote. Ms. Conley?
Yes.
Mr. Grove?
Yes.
Mrs. Powell?
Yes.
Mr. Hopkins?
Yep.
Mr. Park?
Yes.
Mr. Hall votes yes. Motion carries. And now motion in support of the resolution for Kent County 911. Item D, motion to approve Prairie Run preliminary site plan. Mr. Womack, you care to speak to that?
Yes, Mr. Mayor. I believe Dan Larabell's in the audience, if you'd like to approach the lectern and discuss the matter.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, council members. Thank you, Mr. Womack. I'm with Allen Edwin Homes. I'm a project manager. Allen Edwin Homes is primarily a home builder. We also develop some of our projects in West Michigan. Tonight, asking for consideration for Prairie Run North. It is a site condominium. It's a continuation of the existing Prairie Run community. It's the northernmost phase that was approved in 2006, and we have resubmitted the plan with very few changes. And I'd like to talk about the history of Allen Edwin for a moment, if I can. Allen Edwin started in Kalamazoo, Michigan in 1995. In the mid-2000s, about 2005, they moved into the Grand Rapids market. During the economic downturn, there was the Allen Edwin was one of the only companies, one of the only home builders to grow through the economic downturn because of the owner's vision, the product, a combination of many factors. And since then, we've been developing again in the West Michigan and Kalamazoo markets, and sporadically in the Eastern Michigan markets. As I mentioned, this project was approved in 2006. We've made very few changes. This would continue the public, the sanitary sewer system, the water main system. We provide a stub to the north, to the northernmost property. I believe that's still in the city of Cedar Springs, and that would provide a future street connection, future water main connection, and future sanitary sewer connection. With very few changes to the plan, I guess I'm here to answer questions. I'd like to say our schedule is we'd like to start in the spring of next year, and pavement in midsummer is the projected time frame of the project.
Mr. Mayor, if I could continue
Yes.
a little background on this. This has already been in front of the Planning Commission. They did approve it with the recommendations of the planner. And since that time, the city attorney has also reviewed various documentation, and he has also made his recommendation. So at this time, you could give preliminary approval with those with or without those recommendations. My suggestion is with those recommendations. My question for Mr. Larabelle would be that we've had some email discussions regarding platting. Would you like to address that at this time?
Yeah, there are two different methods to subdivide a project. One method is the site condominium method. The other is a state platted method. The platted method has been used very little recently. Site condominiums are much more common because of there's not as many municipalities involved, and there's a shorter amount of time to review the project after the completion. With the site condominium, the project is completed in the same manner as a platted subdivision. It's the same approval process on the front end. All the same requirements have to be met as far as building the community. You have the same approvals of accepting the public water main, the public sewer. You have all the same inspections during the construction process. You have the same exact product, but the process of subdividing the land is different. And with the platting, it takes quite a bit longer. We've had some discussions on making this a plat, and I guess this is where I turn into a soldier, a marching soldier, taking marching orders from the owners. I was inquiring on the feasibility of switching this to a plat prior to the city council review. The city's attorney position was that it would have to be resubmitted and started over from square one. With that in mind, we did not want to do that. We wanted to continue with the site condominium. The only reason we would switch to a platted subdivision is the small risk with FHA loans in the case of an economic downturn, which we aren't projecting, but as we know, it can happen at any point. If you have an FHA loan, they have more opportunity with an FHA loan. The FHA loans are more easily obtained on a platted community versus a site condominium. So the decision would be based on risk mitigation, with having more availability with FHA loans on a platted community. rent a site condominium.
Okay, so the long and short of it, you want us to proceed with this as a site condominium?
Correct.
Okay. Mr. Womack, you have anything else to add?
I would only ask that if city council wants to approve the preliminary site plan, they do so with the recommendations of the city planner and city attorney be required.
What about,
I'm sorry, Mr. Gross, did you have a question?
Are we required to have a public hearing on this?
Not today. Okay.
what about our DPW staff to review? That would come under our engineering if possibly.
Mr. Stressman is not here.
He's out listening to the speaker.
Mr. Larabelle?
You know, I would just want, our city engineer to review it also.
The city engineer did review it.
Okay. Enough said.
Sorry, Mr. Larabelle, did you? Sure, thank you.
Okay, thank you. That, it didn't specify it, but we need it there. There's green light on there.
Mr. Stressman, you missed the question. Mr. Hall, would you like to ask that again? Or?
You've had the opportunity to review the site plan and everything's really okay?
I have not.
Okay. We would like to have that, have his review also, if that's... Thank you. Okay. I would entertain a motion at this time.
Mr. Mayor, I got a motion to approve the Prairie Run site plan subject to review as approval by planning commission, city planner, city attorney, and city manager.
And DPW. Thank you. There's support? Second? It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion?
I question the verbiage here. It sounds like that we're giving the planner and the lawyer veto power. Typically, isn't the planning commission the one who makes the decision based on what the attorney and the planner say?
I guess how I meant to write it was the city planner and city attorney have weighed in. The city planner was present at the planning commission. His recommendations were accepted by the planning commission.
Okay.
But the city attorney had not reviewed all the documents at that time.
So that would be up to the planning commission to make that decision then, based on what he says.
Mr. Mayor, when it comes before us at planning commission, looking at Carline, the city planner usually gives a bulleted list of what he recommends changes. And I think the planning commission, when we gave our 2 cents and voted our permission, it was based on that. There may have been 1 or 2
Yeah,
changes.
and that's what I typically would expect. It's
So
just
it's
not,
not 100% Carline's recommendation,
Yeah.
but the planning commission does change 1 or 2 bullet points here and there.
I just wanted to make sure that I wasn't reading that as they all of a sudden had been raised up in power to chop off or whatever the planning commission
And
said.
that's where I did read planning commission.
Yeah, they have.
Well, but it says planning commission, the city planner, and attorney, and city manager. It sounds like they all have the power to say, no.
Mr. Mayor, I have
So,
one question.
as long as I know that that's not the case, I'm fine.
Sure, it was just poor wording on my behalf.
If they've all
For
reviewed it.
understanding of mine.
Mr. Mayor, I have a question.
Go ahead, Mrs.
Having read the planning commission minutes and discussion, the packet, so on, I just have one about the planning piece of it versus the site condominium piece. So there has to be a community area. Did I read that correctly?
Would you like me to address?
Yes, please.
We're not proposing a community area or any open space.
But is that like, maybe I misunderstood when I read it, but isn't that like a legal requirement of it?
Or a plat?
No, for a site condominium.
Yeah, I can address, I think where there's something called a common element. And
Yeah.
that would be a public right of way, because in a plat it would be a public right of way and a site.
Okay, because I was confused by that piece of it and trying to figure out where it was.
Yeah, there's there's easements and public
Okay.
right-of-ways already established.
But I was misunderstanding what the common element meant. As being part of an association, I know there has to be a community
You know,
thing, and I was like, is this supposed to be here, and is it not, and is that a problem? And then I had one other question is, now the houses that are already there for Prairie Run, are they platted, or are they
The existing community is platted.
interesting?
That's just a new way to move this
I
process.
get it, I just trying to understand it all.
Okay, any other discussion?
Mr. Sebastian said something?
Did the city engineers look at this project?
We did. Yes,
Because usually that comes to me,
that's why I asked if you had seen it.
and then I confer with the engineer if there's any issues, but
Yeah, it's in the motion for you to review. Thank you. Okay,
That's fine.
thank you.
One other thing, Mr. Mayor, what happened to Camelback when this is done?
It doesn't matter.
For those who know where Camelback is.
It doesn't matter no more, it's gone.
It's gone, I
It's
know.
gone.
It's a sad day.
Okay,
Blood
any other discussion? Referring, hearing none, roll call vote. Mr. Clark?
Yes.
Mr. Hopkins?
Yes.
Mrs. Powell?
Yes.
Mr. Gross?
Yes.
Mrs. Conley?
Yes.
Mr. Hall votes yes. The motion carries. Moving on to item E. Motion to approve pursuing a DNR grant for the Heart of Cedar Springs Boardwalk. Mr. Womack.
Mr. Mayor, as discussed previously, this is simply council's opportunity to let us know whether we should pursue the grant through the CBDT in the city's name. It's a $300,000 grant. It would be used to build the boardwalk above the creek. And I don't think that's even that amount sufficient to pay for the entire boardwalk, but it sure would put a dent in it. So this is being done in the city's name by myself and CBDT, and we'd like council's direction regarding that.
On this, we as a city must apply for it, as we've had discussions in the past, and also we, the city, must administer that grant. So therefore, we would have to direct Mr. Womack to apply.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion to approve pursuing a DNR grant for the Heart of Cedar Springs Boardwalk, for the Heart of City of Cedar Springs Boardwalk, and direct the city manager to execute any and all documents to take any action required to pursue said grant on behalf of the city. In conjunction with the CBDT?
Yes, in conjunction with the CBDT.
Yeah. Thank you. Been moved and seconded. Is there discussion?
Thank you.
And one of the other things with this, that, like you said, that the grant money may not cover all of the boardwalk and all that stuff, which it's not going to. And it's not determined fully yet whether that would be going towards building boardwalks or replacing that tunneling that goes under the White Pine Trail,
The bridge.
which will make a huge difference in our water backup.
The culvert?
Yes, the box culvert. Plus, this will be determined what they're gonna use the money for in the grant. It'll have to be spelled out.
Right.
Yeah, this process has a lot of moving parts to it. And this is just one small part of that, unfortunately.
It's the first step.
Yeah, so there's a lot of decisions that can be made moving forward if we don't like how things are turning out, but we have to know if we want to do this at all.
I'm
Okay.
in.
I think
No.
I heard a quote of each bridge at like $100,000 for each bridge, so anybody wondering,
Could be. We'll surely find that out.
isn't that what you said? 14 foot wide?
It depends on how it's built, yes.
Is
Okay.
that the walking bridge?
Well, it's 14 foot wide and will support a vehicle, it's more than a walking bridge.
Oh.
But we're hoping not to do it that way.
Okay.
That's why the DNR and the TAC grants.
Any further discussion on this motion? Hearing none, I will roll call vote. Mrs. Conley?
Yes.
Mr. Gross?
Yes.
Mrs. Powell?
Yes.
Mr. Hopkins?
Yes.
Mr. Clark?
Yes.
Mr. Hall votes yes, motion carries. Moving on, item F, motion to approve partnering with Kent County Road Commission for the repair of North Main. Mr. Romex, so Mrs. Duffin, will you speak to that, please?
If you look at North Main between 18 Mile and basically Oak Street, on the southbound lane, there's a big gully because of the big heavy truck traffic. What we need to do is to mill that out and the other bad sections in there and replace it with blacktop to get it level again. Partner reached out to the Kent County Road Commission, telling them that our budget was very tight and asked for their assistance in doing so because they have the equipment to do that. They are willing to do it for us or with us, I should say. Their equipment, their employees, our equipment, my employees are going to all get together and do it. And they're guessing it's not a solid number, but about $30,000 to take care of that.
That sounds really good.
It needs to be done.
Yeah, God.
And for the sake of discussion, I would entertain a motion.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion to approve partnering with Kent County to repair North Main Street and direct the city manager to execute any and all documents or take any actions required on behalf of the city.
Second.
Okay, been moved and seconded. Now there's a discussion. I think it's what we're doing.
Thank you, Tom.
Do we know when this will be?
I asked them, they're still in the paving mode. I asked them if this meeting would be too late, and his response was no. So fairly soon, if we get approval this evening, would be my guess, when it fits into their schedule.
Thank you. Great.
I was just wondering when it'd be this year yet or next year.
Oh, yeah.
You're talking this year.
So before spring.
You have to get things formed, I think.
We gotta hurry up and vote on that before we go.
Ready, Jeremy?
Okay, that's good.
All right, any further discussion on the motion? Mr. Clark?
Yes.
Mr. Hopkins?
Yes.
Mrs. Powell?
Yes.
Mr. Gross?
Yes.
Mrs. Conlon?
Yeah.
Mr. Holmes, yes. Motion carries.
Go get their blacktop.
Yay. Item G, I have to accept the letter from Mrs. Erla Albertson. The library board has resigned her position on the library board. So I'm accepting her resignation. She's been a good asset to the library board, and I'd like to have a nice letter sent to her. Appreciate her years of service on the board.
I'll do so.
Representing the city. And then we would ask anyone interested in serving on the remaining term of her position on the library board to please submit a letter to me
And the city
requesting
manager.
that appointment, or the city manager, and then we could do that November, next month's meeting. So, no objections of this, we'll just accept Mrs. Albert's resignation. And thank you for all her service.
Thank you, Irma.
Yes. Moving on to item H. Motion to add Darla Falcon, our new city treasurer, finance director, to all the city banking accounts.
Mr. Mayor, this is a similar motion that we've done recently for the new city clerk and for myself. And of course, as the city treasurer / finance director, she's going to need access to our accounts. And of course, it's also important for the security of how the city manages money.
Very much so. I would entertain a motion to that effect.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion to add Darla Falcon, the new city treasurer / finance director, to all city bank accounts.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Any discussion?
I'd just like to comment on her incredible resume, and thank you, Michael, for finding her. And I was just wondering, I see she's a graduate of the Delta Force. Is that like the military?
But it says, Delta Force.
Could be.
Does it literally say Delta Force?
It
It
does.
does.
Yeah, I've looked at it too, and I'm like, ooh, this gal's tough.
Yeah.
Not the Uper.
Don't make her angry.
Right.
Thrilled to have her.
I was more impressed with the fact that she's been city manager of Gladstone, a city of 5,000 for 6 years, and previous to that, 14 years as treasurer or deputy treasurer.
Yeah, their budget is only 12 million.
Our city has been incredibly lucky recently with the recent hires.
Yes.
You were doing your job.
There you go. And her volunteerism in her community is outstanding.
Yes. Any further discussion on this motion?
Just need to give her a warm red flannel welcome.
Hearing none. Mr. Clark?
Yes.
Mr. Hopkins?
Yes.
Mrs. Powell?
Yes.
Mr. Gross?
Yes.
Mr. Conley?
Yes.
Mr. Hall votes yes, motion carries. Item I. I would entertain a motion for the sake of discussion.
Mr. Mayor, I would like to make a motion to pursue the appeal. I wrote it down and I can't read what I wrote. To the unawarded SAW wastewater grant.
Stormwater.
Okay. You have the...
Do you have the wording? So I can find it?
Second?
I will read it, if that's okay.
Please.
Motion to pursue appeal of unawarded stormwater grant.
As Mr. Womack stated.
Well said. Second.
Supported by seconded by Mr. Clark. Any further discussion? None? Call the roll call vote. Mr. Clark?
Yes.
Mr. Hopkins?
Yes.
Mrs. Conley?
Yes.
Mr. Gross?
Yes.
Mrs. Powell?
Yes.
Mr. Hall votes yes, motion carries. We're in that item on the agenda this evening of correspondence. Mr. Womack.
We received notice from Kent County that their longtime administrator, Daryl Delabio, has announced his retirement in June of 2017 after 40 years of distinguished public service. You don't have to worry about me, I'm staying here.
Thank God.
We can't do it again for a while, like my lifetime.
We did receive notice from the city attorney that there has been a medical marijuana facilities licensing act come out of the state legislature. Currently, it requires no action on behalf of the city. It was simply informational. If we want to pursue that in the future, we could, but at this time, it's just a notice that something happened. And then the CBDT report regarding the DNR grant/boardwalk. We had a meeting here at 8 o'clock last Monday, the Monday before. And we just discussed all the moving parts, and one of those things that came out of that was the request that the City Council approve pursuing the boardwalk grant. But those were basically the minutes of that meeting. And if you'll permit, Mr. Mayor, I'll move on to department reports.
Correct. Move on. Item 10.
The non-discrimination plan that we discussed previously, I wrote about half of it and then did a Google search and discovered that the city already had one. It just wasn't easily findable on the city's website, so I have reposted it under announcements, so that's not an issue for us anymore. I'll reiterate it another time. The city manager will be out of town October 24th to the 29th. Which is unfortunate timing because that's when Miss Falcon will be starting, but I'm sure that the staff will welcome her with open arms and she'll get comfortable. I will be down hanging out with Mickey Mouse. The Lou Bender training, he indicated that early March would be the best time for him.
Do you want a date from him?
I don't know if we discussed last time actually getting a date.
We're kind of waiting till our training, which is the 17th.
Yeah.
And then we can set something up.
If he's wanting March, we could start looking at March.
I think Mayor Hall is correct. We did discuss going to the training first and then after that pursue the Lou Bender training.
Okay.
So I'm just keeping in contact with him.
Yep, great.
I've been having discussions with Scott Slavin of the DNR regarding the White Pine Trail signs that we've been discussing, both permission and placement. and that's something I've been speaking with Mr. Hopkins about. I actually did get to meet him yesterday. He was here with the Friends of the White Pine Trail. So of course it's always my belief things go smoother when you know somebody in person. So I stuck around for a couple hours. May or may not have ridden my new motorcycle around for a while and then came back to that meeting. I also spoke at the Women's League Luncheon. I had a great time. As I described earlier, I am a feminist. I like strong women, so I had a good time at that. They fed me, and they gave me a nice paperweight. And the last thing I have to say is a special thank you to Rose Powell and Pam Conley, who fed me over this last couple weeks. As you guys may know, I've been living the bachelor lifestyle, and since I've been here 12 or 13 hours, sometimes it's hard to come up with good, healthy, good-tasting food. So I appreciate these council members feeding me. And that's all I got.
Thank you. Department of Public Works report. Is there any questions of Mr. Trustman? Infrastructure alternatives report. It appears that we are treating less stormwater or infiltration.
Imagine that.
Well, actually, we've had a very wet season, and we're still under, so.
Yeah. Like, all this sewer work we've seen in town is paying off. Yay. Thank you. Mr. Kelly, you have anything, or any questions to Mr. Kelly? Sergeant Kelly? Sorry.
Nothing additional.
Chief Fraser? Any questions?
I've got 9:05 on my agenda, so I got about 15 minutes worth of conversation I gotta use up.
Sorry, I only have 4.
That was your bet?
I have nothing other than what's in your report. We had a busy month.
Yes.
Extracurricular activities. October's shaping up to be the same way. One thing I might mention, informational. I was approached by the site supervisor for the library Tuesday. Next week, they're going to take our flagpole out along with our burning bush. I'm not real concerned about the burning bush, but the flagpole. I pointed out that was donated graciously by the American Legion, and I would have very, very much appreciated that they use it with gentle hands when they pull it out of the ground. However, unless we can find a place to plant it, and down this parking lot, new parking lot, we will have the pole laying somewhere inside or outside the building until we get relocated, which brings up another brief topic. I was approached by Mr. Womack last week when Thad was here. We set up a committee for the building relocation committee for the fire station. I've been challenged with addressing that and setting up a meeting with said people on that paper, and Mayor Hall, you were one of them. Mr. Womack would be one.
Yeah.
And I will solicit times and dates and get back with everybody so that we can at least sit down and toss some ideas back and forth across the table. I'm sure everybody
Sounds good.
has an idea and an opinion.
I know with our conversation, I said, let us know when you want to trigger that meeting, we'll move.
Well, I will work diligently at it starting next week and seeing if I can get everybody, it's like Mr. Womack referred to, he's herding cats. It just, it'll be a challenge, but it'll be something we can get set up. Just like I said, the flagpole is coming down next week. I got tentative plans on Halloween of doing our parking lots, making sure they're ready for asphalt. And then I think the second week in November, they'll blacktop and stripe the final coats.
Sounds wonderful.
If you drive by the fire station, there's no flag, that's why.
Understand.
You have to find a place to plant it.
In your meeting, if you can get some people there, maybe we can't get all of them, but once we get the ball rolling, we can get input and start moving forward. You know, it's like you say, it's hard for everybody to be there, but once we establish a meeting, get who we can there, get discussion going, and then we can move another meeting, and hopefully they can adjust their schedule and be there.
Mr. Mayor,
I have a sore shoulder, so I can't pat myself on the back, but I'll have everybody there.
You're a good man. Just
Mayor, just for the public's benefit, this meeting we're talking about is the fire barn relocation meeting. The fire barn is currently out in front of the library. It's going to need to be moved. And we've got some pretty good ideas. We've got some plans for what we could do. But we were approached by the sheriff's county about possibly doing a combined fire and sheriff's department building, which they would obviously help pay for, which I think would be awesome. So we just have a lot to discuss.
Correct. A lot of discussion to go forward. Thank you.
There's an additional donor as well.